All right, and away we go. Welcome everybody to Tech Tuesday. Today we're talking about calendaring software. One of the things that comes to me a lot of times is, oh, I can't keep my schedule straight, and I'm trying to figure out how to get a handle on how many people are on my calendar. And what I find is a lot of people aren't properly using the calendar software to the best of its ability. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. We'll do a little bit of slides just to kind of go over an overview of the features and the costs so you can compare the different software tools that are out there right now. Everything's changing with AI as well as the price. So keep an eye on those types of things, but this will at least give you a methodology for taking a look. We did this class a few weeks ago and we had some great feedback from the students that were there, but unfortunately, well, tech did what it does and it didn't record. So we're going to record it again so we make sure we have it in the community for all of you guys. But if you have additional questions specific to calendar software, don't hesitate to drop it in the comments in the feed under Tech Tuesday, and we'll get back to you guys with some more information and possibly some more training. Alrighty, let's see what we can get into here. So one of the reasons why I wanted to start looking at this is, as you guys know, if you guys been to any of the subscription overwhelm, trick one there, Freudian slip. The subscription overwhelm classes, you guys know that we're just getting too many subscriptions, and I really advocate for us to continue to check in on those subscriptions as they come up for renewal, see what the latest pricing is, see how much we're actually utilizing the features, if new features have come out because of AI, or because they changed it. So it just so happened that as one of my clients was asking about Calendly software, my subscription to Calendly was coming up. So we're kind of evaluating whether we should keep it and what is available now. So the latest version of Calendly, where not just the free version, but the standard version, is $10 per seat per month. So it's about $120 a year. There is a free version, and here's the few things to look at if you're comparing on the pricing page. As always, you know, there's always some hidden things in here, but usually you could start with free just to play around with some of these software before you commit to paying the price. The biggest challenge that folks see when they're using the free version of Calendly is they can only have one event type. And I'm actually going to open up my Calendly and I'll show you guys how I'm using it and why you may want more than one event type. Now, just for kind of regular meet and greets and, an easy way for people to get on your calendar, this is great. And again, you could even use different types of software, get 3 different ones, use all the free plans, and have each software do a different type of invite. That feels like a lot to manage, and again, risky if they start changing the terms and it doesn't end up free forever. You can also only connect one calendar. So maybe you have a personal calendar where you're juggling family life as well as your work calendar, and you want to make sure that people aren't over scheduling on both of those. So on the free version here, you only get one calendar. You can add video conferencing like Zoom or whatever you might use. You get a customized booking page and a browser extension, which is actually one of my favorite features of Calendly. So we'll see if any of these others have it. Once you go to the paid one, you get unlimited event types, lots of calendars, and you can start connecting with other pieces of software like your CRM system, like a payment system like Stripe or PayPal. So you can charge for individual sessions if you need to do that as well, or if that's a part of your coaching program. So I definitely take advantage of these things because then when someone books a meeting on my calendar, it automatically feeds into my CRM system. So I retain their name, their email, possibly their phone number if they've left that as well. And then it'll start capturing all of the other correspondence I have with them outside of the meeting. And then, if you have a team or you have more people that you're trying to get together, then there's usually some sort of Teams level. So the funny thing is, when I went to look at my Calendly software to see what my renewal price is, I'm paying more than the current listed low price. So that kind of gave me a little bit of a head scratch there. I am paying $144 a year for that same sort of standard level with one seat. And as it's quickly coming up on the beginning of November here, I need to make a decision and ask the question, why am I paying more than the base one? A lot of times because, over the last 5 years while I've had my business, the software itself has changed and their pricing plans have changed. So you can see it says right here, I'm on some sort of legacy plan. So I may may or may not have features that are currently available in the standard plan. So these are a good time to go check with the support, go on their website, send in a quick query, and hopefully they'll email you back with what's the differences and is it make sense for you to go back to whatever their standard plan is or keep your legacy thing for as long as they'll give it to you. In this case, I'm losing, $24 a year, not a huge amount, but again, every little bit counts when it's something kind of benign like a software like, for your calendar that you could pretty much get anywhere. So for me, this definitely raises some questions and was already a red flag of like, hey, I should probably look into this and see what other options we have and really compare what features I use in Calendly versus what else might be available. So one of the big things that I like about Calendly is all the different plugins and things that you can do. So you can plug it in directly to LinkedIn. You can plug it in right into an extension in your browser like Chrome or, your email through Outlook. And I'll show you what that looks like and why it's important. Let's go ahead and stop the share for a sec and switch screens. I think we can just drag it over here. Let's see. Boop, there it is. So what you'll see over here in my browser window is when I click the Calendly extension, a whole pop-up menu occurs. So I don't have to always go to the Calendly web page and log into my account. It allows me to be logged in and then I can quickly grab any one of my event types. Now, remember I said I had multiple event types for different types of things, and they're of different lengths. They have different requirements, and I use them in different ways. So let's make the example. You see my starred one here is the meet and greet. That's kind of my general one that most people can grab my calendar for 30 minutes, and I only allow it on certain days of the week. So these kind of meet and greets, usually it's someone I've met before or I'm meeting kind of for the first or second time, and so I don't necessarily give them an hour on my calendar, but 30 minutes usually seems to be good. I also have a 15-minute window, and that 15-minute one is very specific to kind of a general link that I have on my website, my one link that's in sort of my link in bio on social media. So again, people aren't abusing my calendar when I really haven't met them before, and I have a lot of limitations on when they can book those 15-minute meetings. Now, if I have people that I'm coaching and they need to have a longer time with me where we really sit down and we're going through something in their business, then I have a 1 hour. And you'll see I note that this is a complimentary session. So I do have an ability to charge, but these specific ones are free for people that are already paid clients. And then another big one I have is the podcast guesting. And so this allows me to have a completely separate flow that's specific to my podcast. I can capture people's social media, their bio, their headshot, and I make sure that then they get into StreamYard for the podcast, not necessarily Zoom like I would do for the rest of my meetings. So I know that was a lot very quickly, but it just gives you kind of the broad variety of things that you can use your calendar for when you have multiple event types. And over years, I've added different ones and sometimes I've needed them. I haven't necessarily deleted them because again, if I have unlimited, it doesn't necessarily matter. But if I want to quickly go and grab this, let's say I'm over on LinkedIn. And it has a native plugin to LinkedIn. And so what means is if I go and I want to create a new message, let's see, we just met Susan. We already started to do this, but basically I can drop it right in there. So instead of going to this browser window and doing a pop-up, which is great, it works for lots of different software, Calendly has actually worked with LinkedIn to create a native integration, and you'll see I have a Calendly right here within LinkedIn where they're already connected. And if I want to pick that link, I can just grab it directly from LinkedIn. So if you're using LinkedIn a lot, this is an incredibly beneficial feature. Now, it's possible LinkedIn has other ones. I've never had to look it up because I've always had Calendly, but it's going to be one of those things that we evaluate as we go. So this is kind of one of those differentiating features of Calendly, which definitely sets it apart. So for all of $144 a month, or $120 if I can get the new rate, I'm getting a lot of flexibility. I've got a lot of stuff pre-done in here. I can ask questions of the person before I get on the call with them. I can collect information like I do for the podcast, and I can transfer all that data into my CRM so it's not lost. I'm not manually putting it from one system to the other. It's all being captured at the time that they book the meeting, and it also gives them ability to reschedule and do things like that. So for me, Calendly has been pretty good, and it's not super expensive. So I think once we figure out maybe that subscription, it's possible that we're doing okay. But that's why we want to investigate not just what we see about the software we have and staying where we're comfortable, but also challenging it a little bit of, well, what else is available? So let's take a look. So the next big one was Acuity. So as we were doing the website software review and we were talking about domains and hosting and software to create your website, Acuity came up. So Acuity was purchased by Squarespace. So if you have a Squarespace, software for creating your website, you may also have the ability to get Acuity. So again, thinking about those cohesive things where the software is already talking to itself, instead of trying to, get the links from, let's say, Calendly to embed into the website, Acuity and Squarespace work cohesively together, and it would already be natively embedded. And it looked like in some cases you may actually get Acuity free, so you wouldn't have to actually pay this $16 a month. So speaking of that, $16 a month was quite a bit more than the $10 a month that we saw over at Calendly. So it was, again, a good question of, well, what am I getting for $16? Is it that much better of a software? What else is available? And so you'll see here, at least I do have the unlimited services and appointments option, but I only, again, have one bookable calendar. I can take payments and send reminders and things like that. The one thing that I saw as a differentiator between this starter level and what they call standard or level 2, now I can have up to 6 bookable calendars, and I can do text message reminders. So if you're here in the US, text message reminders are actually very useful because it helps make sure that people actually show up to the meetings that they book with you. I've found it really makes a difference when people get that text reminder rather than, something buried in their email as a reminder. So you would have to pay $27 a month in order to get that, versus you're actually getting that at the $10 a month rate on Calendly. So a little strange, but I know there's been a lot of limitations from an FCC perspective. And also, if you're doing global calendars, then text messaging isn't always that effective because it's quite costly for them to do. You can also do memberships and subscriptions and automated billing and a bunch of other things on Acuity at the $27 level, but you'd have to be making quite a bit of money in order to make that, math sort of work out. So that was kind of the base version of, looking at Acuity, is that for $16 a month, I feel like I'm losing more features than I'm gaining. But again, maybe if it's natively embedded in your Squarespace and you're not paying the additional amount, you're getting some of those features automatically when you're already paying for Squarespace, then it might be worth it. Generally, what I've seen is Acuity works pretty much the same as Calendly. You have a lot of the same features, and we'll talk a little bit more about how to do those as we get to some of the other software that I did purchase for us to test. The new one I've been testing, I know you guys have seen, we're trying to do some new Notion testing and see what we can do with Notion. I found that there's a Notion calendar, so I thought, well, let's check that out to compare. So far, it's been more confusing than it was helpful. It doesn't look and feel a lot like some of the other calendars. It wanted a lot of access to my Google and my Gmail, and I don't know, the permissions thing, you'll see, I think I took a screenshot, was very, very long. So I didn't get very far down this. So I just wanted to kind of compare from a price perspective. Again, the good thing is there is a free version that you can do when you already have a Notion book and you want to add on the calendar. So if you just want to test it, it's really best kind of, like they said, for individual usage. You get some basic forms, sites, it does sync with your Gmail, and it can do some other subtasks for you. So we haven't played around with it too much, but when we add on to the Notion training, we'll be adding a more in-depth piece there. I will say, as I've been using Notion AI for transcribing meetings, it is by far the best meeting summary that I've gotten across the different softwares. And we'll definitely do a class on that specifically, but you do get a trial of it. So you get a certain amount of minutes, credits, however they measure. And then when that's up, obviously they want you to start paying for that. But the good thing is, if we do go ahead and go to whatever their level 1 paid level, the plus level, it is $10 a month per seat, and you get unlimited, charts, blocks, calendars, integrations, a bunch of other stuff. So, same amount of money as Calendly, and we'll see what happens when we co-play with that a little bit more. Of course, if you have a big business or you're trying to get a lot of people connected through a calendar, this could be a really great option because you have all these other opportunities to connect the team in different ways aside from just the calendar scheduling and things like that. So if you have a sales team, you have people that are working for you that need access to your calendar, then this is a great way to go. So more on Notion later. This is the screenshot of all the permissions. So you can see how I was a little bit concerned with it wants to download my other contacts. It wants to be able to edit contacts within Google, calendar settings. Okay, I wasn't too bad about that, but it wanted to download my whole G Suite directory. And again, this was only on the free version. So this part kind of put me off a little bit and was why I didn't play around too much more with it, because it didn't even allow me not to select all of these and continue with the rest of the setup. So I don't understand why they're asking you for permission and then not allowing you not to give them permission. For me, that, just doesn't necessarily sit well. So we'll play around with it more. We'll do some research, and we'll add it into the Notion specific training that we're going to do later on. So the two kind of least expensive versions, and I actually just got a license for ACE meetings, and it's $69 lifetime. My lifetime, the software lifetime, those things are always a little vague, but at least for now, instead of paying a reoccurring subscription fee every year, I just pay to do it once. And so we're going to actually jump into ACE, and we're going to do some setup and see how that looks. There was also a migration service, which I thought was a great idea. So if you do have a lot of stuff in Calendly, in this example, you can pay also a one-time fee of $49, and they would actually do the migration for you. So again, if you are concerned about, oh my gosh, I just have so much stuff in there, there is almost always a done for you service to help with that migration. And then you can be set up and ready to go to turn one software on and turn the other one off, whichever way that went, and get yourself going more quickly. $49 is really a drop in the bucket. As compared to the lifetime license, not so great, but we'll see what other features we have in ACE here in a live demonstration. Then there's some other ones out there that folks had recommended that we take a look at. TidyCal always has a bunch of stuff within AppSumo, so even cheaper than $29, and even the agency plan was $79, so you can integrate up to 25 calendars and do a bunch of more advanced things, SMS reminders and team pages and things like that. But even the $29, you got 10 calendars and unlimited bookings per month. So minus the SMS and some of the team stuff, $29 a month seemed pretty good. So if you're just trying to get started, again, a lot of great free options, or $29 lifetime. And just because you pay for a lifetime license, at some point, if you grow out of it or you're not happy with what's there, and something else seems more appealing, it's kind of a sunk cost, so it's not a huge thing to go get another piece of software. I think that's all for the slides. So that was kind of just the comparison. So let's pull up Calendly again just for a second, because what I want to show you, and we're going to do this in ACE. So let's grab ACE and we will put it back here to learn how to use it. Is how I set up the events. So I want to open this in a bigger screen. Let's see, more options. No, this is preview. Open it back. This change to the screen is not my favorite. I don't think we can even make it bigger or anything else. That's right. All right. You get the picture. So as you create up an event type, you can name it whatever you want. You can color code it wherever you want. And then you start to make the specifics around how the meeting is going to work. Some of the obvious things are, okay, how long do you want the meeting to be? Most of this is a drop down. So unless there is a custom option, but generally, right, 30 minutes, 60 minutes, something like that. Location. So the nice thing about this is, again, native integrations to be able to add things like Zoom. I think it also does probably Google Meet. You can probably pick a few other pieces of software. Again, you log into your other account, it connects the two, and then it will automatically create a brand new Zoom link. I'll show you in the podcast one. Let's do that one real quick. So for the podcast one, you'll see StreamYard doesn't natively work in here. So I just have a thing that says custom location and that the link will be sent. And so they just get this in the sort of location place, and it doesn't actually give them the link. So again, a little bit of a step there without having a native integration with StreamYard. So if there's something you're using that's not Zoom or not natively connected to, in this case, Calendly, you may have an extra step there. When we tested the Google Calendar, we also had this problem because Google obviously only wanted you to use Google Meet, which I can't stand. So that one was a challenge. Then let's go back to the meet and greet one. The next thing is availability. So the thing about this is you can either just have a general availability of when you allow these types of meetings. Let's say I only do them on Tuesdays between, 1 o'clock and 5 p.m. I actually go through my calendar as a part of my planning process, and I put 2-week increments. So we're actually already to the 28th, but what I would do is I would go ahead and open my calendar in another screen you guys can't see, and I would say, okay, what does next week look like? Oh, I'm speaking and at an event nearly every day, so it really doesn't make sense to open up my calendar because it's pretty much blocked. So the next time things are going to be open is the 10th, and let's just say until the 21st, because the week after that is going to be Thanksgiving. So rather than allow people to shove into the 3 days where I'm probably trying to wind down and also multitask with Thanksgiving things, I'm really only going to allow them 2 weeks. There's other ways to also limit how far into the future. So here you could also select, oh, they can only go 14 days into the future. Then it will dynamically update and you don't have to go in here and make the adjustments. So if you don't want to be looking at it this often, that's entirely possible. For some of the other ones, I do have those types of limitations, but because this is my primary one, I do try to keep an eye on it every 2 weeks when I'm doing my planning. So then the next piece is the hours. So you can make specific hours available each day. They can be the same. This right now is a custom schedule, but you also can, when you set up the account, create regular default working hours. And if I switch to that, it'll just say 10 to 7 every day. And this is in my local time. It dynamically switches to the user's time, whoever's on there trying to book. So if they're on Eastern, time US, or if they're in all the way in Sydney, Australia, they'll see the availability based on their calendar and what time that is. That's always really important because, especially if you're dealing with, different countries, it could be day when it's night and night when it's day. And so it gets very confusing for them to try to do the math in their head. And they don't want to be booking a meeting at 3 a.m. their time when they thought it was going to be 3 p.m. But I usually use a custom schedule so that way I can go back in here and say, oh, shoot, Monday, the kids have something after school. I actually need to be done by 3 p.m. on Monday, that specific, 2-week window. Or let's say it's Veterans Day, and that's a very important day in our family. And so we observe that, and I usually don't work. So let's say if that was Veterans Day on Tuesday, I can just block it, and now I'm not available. So I really like this flexibility that there's lots of levers for us to pull as we set stuff up. So it'll be a great thing for us to test as we go over into ACE. Then the next piece is host, me. You can, if you maybe are juggling team members or you have an assistant or somebody who might take some of your calls, you can also set these up so it actually books for them, and then they screen stuff before it goes to you. One of the reasons I don't like this view is because there's a whole bunch of other questions and it's not really obvious that those exist. So we're going to go into more options here. So one is kind of description and just, hey, what's going on? Thanks for booking a time. Let me know why we're meeting so I can be prepared for the meeting. This part is incredibly important, and this is the thing that I think a lot of people are missing, and probably again because in some of these software pieces it's hidden, is around the buffer times. So what this allows you to do is automatically, if you have other things booked, it's not just looking for, oh, okay, you have a meeting from 10 to 11. It's okay for me to book at 11 o'clock for another meeting. Instead, it says, no, before the event, there needs to be a 30-minute buffer. So you're busy from 10 to 11. You need a 30-minute buffer to 11:30. That's the earliest they can book that next window. It also says that you need 30 minutes after the meeting. This makes sure you have time to, oh, I don't know, go to the bathroom, get some more water, consolidate your notes and any action items from that meeting. And that way you're not just rushing from one meeting to the next. So as best as you can, I always like to go ahead and put at least a 30-minute buffer. Sometimes it's only 15. Again, if it's some of those 15-minute meetings, a 15-minute buffer is usually fine. But if you're talking to somebody for 30 minutes to an hour, especially if it's one of my clients, I want to make sure I have enough time to action stuff and not forget about it. Even if it's just putting notes into things I need to do, maybe not action them right away, but I don't want to lose those, jump into the next meeting, and also, be context switching. The next most important piece, oh goodness, hold on. The weather's changing and we can't quite figure out if we need blankets and sweatshirts or tank tops and shorts. So, good old fall in Chicago. So the other thing is max meetings, and you can set this to whatever you want. It can be per day, per week, per month. But basically, like, what's the most of these types of meetings can people book in a day? Now, again, if you have multiple links and, you're offering people different things, you could have 6 of these and 3 of those and, 5 of these, and then you can still end up overwhelmed. But again, this goes back to setting your working hours, setting the buffer time so that, no matter which one they're using, that it doesn't overlap too much. There's lots of other things around here about, like, okay, free and busy rules, which calendars you connect. You can go and connect both your personal calendar and your business calendar. This is what the page looks like. So again, this is a nice thing that I can customize and I can remember it, so it's not Calendly /Nikki/1289PQRST. It's meet dash great. So I never have to go look for the link. I can just remember that. And it can show the increments of, even 5-10 minutes if, again, you're going back to those 15-minute meetings, or in this case, 30 minutes between a 30-minute meeting. Here's your time zone and questions. So don't forget about all the real estate that's available here. So you're screening people and gathering information, because remember, we're going to send this into our CRM system so that we know a little bit more about this person and we can start to tag them to know why they want to meet with us for future interactions. So question 1 is very simply like, who are you and what are we going to do? This one is a multiple choice. I want to book Nikki as a speaker. I want to be a guest on her podcast. I want her to be a guest on my podcast. I want to have her as a career coach, or just general networking. And there's always another in case there's something I missed on top of those things. But and the nice thing, it's multi-select, so they could be interested in multiple things and it'll capture all of those. And then I just kind of give them an extra, okay, what else? And then if you need to collect payment, you can do that. I don't have it turned on for these. These are free. And notifications. Another wonderful thing about some of these calendar softwares is it's not just about sending the reminders to make sure people get to the meeting, but it's also sending thank you messages after the meeting to make sure, hey, it was great connecting with you. Thanks for your time. And you can always add additional things for follow-up, but at least they're going to get that very next couple of thank you messages there. And then you can see if there's email reminders, text reminders, or anything else. And then they get a confirmation page. And all this stuff can be standardized so that it has your branding on it. It has, links to reschedule or cancel if they need to, all by themselves. And so again, before we can afford VAs and things like this can act like your VA to help you do a lot of things to manage your calendar, day by day, week by week, month by month, and more. All right. So, what else is in here just before we go on to the next piece of software? Yeah, so there's meeting recaps, which is great. So I've been turning on sort of the AI stuff just to see how it works. Not great feedback. It's been okay. It's better than nothing, again, so you don't have to capture all the notes. But again, it kind of comes in one big run on paragraph. So I really haven't been excited about Calendly's AI note taking. A lot of this stuff is how to set up the basic integrations and connections. You've seen we walked through a few of these, but so it looks like you can connect to Teams, Google Meet, Zoom, obviously, as well as Zapier if you have a different system entirely, and then PayPal and Stripe for payment systems. And then if you have a big CRM like a Salesforce or HubSpot, and it looks like there's a whole bunch more. But you can go and use the different integrations. So it looks like there's 40 in there. I'm using 5 currently. So you can connect to what you want to and kind of streamline some of that. So that's how I'm using it today. Now, the next big question is if I move, what will I have in the new system? So we got our $69 lifetime license for ACE meetings. So let's take a look at that. So as we got started, I just did a little bit of stuff just so that we could kind of jump to the meat of it. Is obviously I need to connect my calendar so that it knows, when I'm free. The next piece is let's create our meeting types. So now that we've gone through the Calendly version, let's see what we can do in order to manage that. So add meeting type, that feels pretty obvious. And then is it a one-on-one, a group session, a round robin? So I've used this when, a lot of times maybe in a sales team or something where different people are going to pick up the calls and just start that initial outreach. Maybe you have an agency that does car sales, maybe you have an agency that does house selling. Then the round robin kind of works because it works a little bit more fairly that everybody can get a chance to be on the calendar. So, and for ours, we just need a one-on-one meeting, so we'll try that. And let's just replicate what we had. So we had a meet and greet, internal meeting type description. It's not available on the public calendar. I don't think I need to be super specific. Fixed location or URL. Visit settings to integrate Zoom. Okay, so good thing we've got in-person, phone call, Google Meet if we want it. And it does do Teams and Zoom. So we kind of only got so far, and that's not helpful. In order to proceed, please review errors in the following field. Participant location details. Got it. So for now, let's just put in-person meeting and we'll just write Zoom just so something's in there. But we'll have to go back and figure out how to do that integration. So let's go back to Calendly and let's just pull up and let's see if we can just copy paste what we've already done so we don't have to reinvent the wheel. All right, there's our description. And look, see, it's a little bit longer, but it still works. I've got my meet-greet. Copy that so we don't lose it. Our primary language is English. For one-on-ones, I like to do yellow. I'm not sure if that's yellow, but we'll call it yellow. And then you'll see I don't have as many options here on the date range. I have indefinitely or 60 days. So for me already, that's a little bit unfortunate, but we'll go ahead and just put that at 14 days so it'll dynamically roll forward. Then it gives you only 3 options for duration, 60, 90, 30. We're going to take those off so that this is only a 30-minute meeting, and we do not take calls before 10 a.m. and even sometimes not even at 10. Again, prioritizing your energy and your needs for what you need. And then this is in military time, so then we've got to do a little bit of math. If we subtract 2, this is 5 p.m., which we usually work later than that, but for right now, we'll just leave that there. And then not available on the weekends. Cool, we've got our buffers, that's great. So 30 and 30. And then starting on the 30. So either let's say 10 a.m., 10:30, 11, that works for me. They can't schedule within 4 hours and a max of, let's say, 4 of these per day. Name, mandatory. Now let's see what our other options are in this drop down. That's it. I don't have a new option. All right. And then add a new question. Let's say phone number. Oh, look, phone number's already there. I don't necessarily have the right phone number. Cool. Oh, well, I don't know how this works, but this is why we do this together, kids, because I'm sure as you guys go through stuff, and we won't make the phone number mandatory because we'll say that's optional in case, you know, you want to do anything else. And then what other questions do we have? Let's go back to our open questions. Name, email, and then please select one of the following. Let's see if we can make multiple checkboxes. And we need answers. So booking Nikki as a speaker. Okay, add another option. I want to be a guest on SUSO. Cool. I want to book Nikki as a guest on your podcast. Nice. And I'm interested in learning more about having me as a, and we're going to say, business coach. And just good old general networking. And they need to mandatory reply to that. And then we had our anything else. And let's see if we can add another question of not necessarily single line, multiple lines, and mandatory that they at least put something in there as to why we're meeting. Cool. So we got pretty close on that. Confirmation host email, personalize the email. Hey, you booked a thing on this date. Reaching out, telling you you booked it. Here's the link. Cheers. And then we'll put my assistant's name. Save. You'll receive an email when a new meeting has booked. So this one comes to me. This one goes to the guest. All right, and then this puts in my information, gives them all the details. Cool. And a lot of this stuff, it's great. It's dynamic. So it already has these dynamic fields. Whatever the person's putting in there, it will save all of that. And email reminders. So we do want to turn this on, send an hour before. Cool. I can also send it 24 hours before. I like sending at least 2 reminders by email, and let's make sure we turn that on. Request a review or prompt next step so then automated email sent after the event is over. It was nice meeting you. Any feedback, just reply. And this is for concerns, but let's probably change the wording on that. So just reply to this email with any of your thoughts. That sounds a little better, right? And it will send after 1 hour after the meeting. So again, not like instantaneous, but it's good to, just kind of follow up. And that is a simple one to, say thanks for connecting. Actually, did it say thanks? Let's check again. Lovely meeting you. It was really nice hearing from you. Maybe not this. It was really nice getting to know about you and your business goals. How's that? Okay, according to Calendly, we don't need this. Just following up to say it was lovely to meet you. I don't know if we need the event name. That feels kind of redundant. Let's take that out. Delete. There we go. It was really nice getting to know you and learn your business goals. All right, improving my service is a priority. Love to hear any feedback. Just reply to this email with any or all of your thoughts. And I'll be honest, I actually get a lot of responses to these messages. So don't underestimate, setting some of these things up. And then we'll go ahead and turn on the SMS reminders and a personalized text, and then just confirming. And that says it's from me. So an hour before, they'll also get an SMS message. All right, what goes on our confirmation page? Let's see if we can find it. Here it is. Links on confirmation page, link name, schedule another event, add a new link. I think I probably did a generic one that is set up in our general settings. Workflows. Sometimes it takes a second to go from one thing to the other. So here's thank you, and this is the reminder ones. That's not exactly it. Admin managed workflows. Routing. Wow, that's a lot of stuff on my calendar. Single use links, meeting polls, invite a user, branding, my link note taker, all settings. Somewhere in here. All right, well, I wish this one had a template or redirect to an external site. Oh, this is fine. The confirmation is thank you for booking a meeting with Nikki Green. We look forward to learning more about you and your business goals. Beautiful. And we can even sign it from our CS rep. Beautiful. And then this is set to do not collect payments. So I'm guessing if we turn that on, it will. And then save meeting type. Oh, please contact support. Cool, cool, cool. We don't even know why. Nothing seems to be throwing an error. Probably one of those things we should have saved as we were going along. And not sure if it's saving or not. We might have lost all this. That'll be pretty annoying. All right, well, at least now you know how the software works. This is why we do stuff live, kids, because even I get error messages and get frustrated with pieces of software. All right, well, let's close it and see if it's saved by any. Nope. And you know what we do when that happens. We want to notifications. Oh, we're not going to promote them right now, are we? Feedback. There should be a way to open a case. And I'm not. And of course, it didn't sign me in. All right, well, we'll solve that later, but we are going to open a case and figure out why we can't create meeting types. All right, and then it'll give us the link and then we can share the meeting. So the one thing we were looking for that was supposed to be in the settings was connecting our Zoom account. So let's just go here. Connected calendars. So we've connected our calendar. Conferencing. Here we go. And we want to connect Zoom. See what kind of permissions it's trying to do. Well, a little bit of everything, which always is a little scary. Cool. Now Zoom is connected and I'll be able to automatically put a Zoom link in there when I can get one of the meeting types to save. Here's where you set up your payments if you're going to charge. Here's other things I can do. I can put my logo, looks like. I can choose the file. Let's go to our folder. Not here. And I always have a folder with all of my branding stuff all in one place so I can easily grab my headshots, my logo, or anything else I might need. Upload. Okay. Again, a couple of steps that are a little wonky there. Do we want the ACE branding? What does that look like? Oh, it just puts a little thing at the bottom of the page. I'm not too concerned about that. Show link to all public meetings. I don't know what that is. Show workspace header. This is nice though. I do like in the information features that it tells you exactly what the heck it's talking about, because sometimes, as you can see, we may not know. It looks like we can create different themes if we really care about making it super cool. Let's go ahead and select a super trendy, cool one that has purple in it. Hopefully then we can also change the colors and do some other stuff. But for now, at least it looks a little bit different. So I know it's giving out the ACE link versus the Calendly link. All right, with our last little bit of time here today, I did want to show you one more free option. If you already have Google Workspace, we also found out that they have, I don't know how new it is, but new to me, booking pages that you can also use through there. So when you go into the calendar, there's a little thing that'll say booking pages. You'll see obviously Calendly is already still connected here, but as far as this, I went ahead and created a test booking calendar and a meet and greet, and you can see those right here. So a lot of the same features. If we want to go ahead and I'll just open this up to edit so you can see what it looks like. Similar to all the things we just did within Calendly and in ACE, you can name it, you can set the duration, you set your hours, you set how many days in advance, what's your schedule, making sure there's buffer time, and you limit how many people are in there. You can ask questions. I did say the one thing is it doesn't put the Zoom link in there, so you'll have to remember to do that before the meetings. Or if you have a generic like Zoom Room type of link, which is your personal link, you can also drop that in there so it's consistent every single time. Booking form information. This I couldn't do a lot with it. I can't really add too many other things. It was sort of just a sample one, and payments and confirmation emails and reminders. So you have a lot of the same features. It looked a little weird on the calendar, so it was kind of showing up as a bar, and this is my not used calendar for my admin. So there's not a lot of stuff on here, but considering how much stuff is on my real calendar, I really had no interest in having this show up on my calendar as an availability thing. I don't know what would happen. Let's just do a test. Is if I say, if I put in a lunch appointment here from, and I usually always use purple in my calendar for my personal time. Then if we go to this and there's a way to preview it and see what it looks like from a user's perspective. Let's see, did it on the 28th, I said, which is today. Yeah, so it won't start the availability until 2 o'clock. So it seems to work. I have other things on the calendar, it looks like, or I only booked it until the afternoon. So yeah, it's working pretty well. It's a pretty quick integration because obviously it's Google, so it's talking to itself. And, there's no open times on the weekend. There's no open times on Halloween because we have to have that as a secret holiday. And then Monday, things open back up again. So not a super fancy landing page, but enough for people to know the difference as to what they're doing and to be able to find a time that works on theirs. Time zones. Yeah, looks pretty cool. So just another option that's kind of not just free, but sort of integrated if you already have Google Workspace. I'm sure if you just have a free Google account, this probably won't work, as we found out with some of the other Google features. But if you're already paying for Workspace, you might as well keep leveraging as many things as you possibly can in order to do this. We'll take a snapshot of this last sort of, 5-10 minutes of the Google Calendar, and we'll drop it also into the Google training for anybody that might want to learn how to use it. And then reverse link back to the calendar training if they want to know more. But there you go, kids. That is all for today. Let's go ahead and stop the share if we can. All right, I hope this was useful, and if there's any other questions or any other specific software you guys have questions about, just go ahead and drop them in the comments below. We'll pick those up, and we'll record another training or do something live to help you guys out with managing your calendar. Hope you guys had a good one. There's a lot of stuff in here. You might have to watch it at half speed instead of one to try to capture all of those wonderful details, but I hope it was useful and it helps you better schedule and organize your day. This is Nikki Green signing off. Bye, everybody.